Welcome to ACP, the Amazon Connect podcast. This is the show that focuses on Amazon Connect and related technologies. I'm your host, Tom Morgan, and I'm joined as usual by my co-host, AWS Solution Architect and Contact Center Consultant, Alex Baker. Find out more about Cloud Interact by visiting us at cloudinteract.io. It's time for another ACP, and a special one this time as you find us on the 6 a.m. train to London. I'm here with Alex. Alex is commuting with me. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, nice early start for us this morning.
The reason we're both sitting on a train together is that we are headed to the Amazon Connect Customer Community event. Now, it's a 2-day event in London. Alex was there yesterday. I am joining him for today. 9 years ago, when Amazon Connect first started and you first got involved with it, did you ever imagine that you would be sitting on a train heading to a Amazon Connect customer regional event, one of many being held around the world?
No, I guess not. And thinking back to then, it was definitely something new and exciting, but really in its infancy. And I guess it's impressive, the changes that have been made over those 9 years, and the sort of constant velocity of change as well is really impressive. And I've mentioned it quite a few times before, but the fact that there was that sort of game-changing moment when you realise that you could just go and set up a contact centre yourself and go and experiment with it, I think that always made it stand out for me. But yes, not necessarily, but pleased to be here, and it's been an interesting first day at the event yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yesterday was all technical day, and today is more business track focused. So I guess I know you didn't get to go to a lot of the sessions because we had a stand as well and you were on the stand, but what was the general kind of feeling? What was the atmosphere like during that technical day, and your thoughts?
Yeah, great atmosphere. It was, I think, because it was the technical track day, there was a focus on allowing the more technically minded people to go and find out more about the product and do some learning. So there were a couple of really good workshop sessions around setting up agentic AI and also around automating evaluations and quality monitoring. But yes, all in all, it was a really good, well-run day. Packed agenda, and it looks like today's even more. It's starting at 9 and it runs all the way through, I think, till 6 with session after session. So hopefully we will get a chance to duck in and see a few of those today.
Excellent, definitely getting our money's worth. All right, so we're going to have a couple more coffees, I think, to get us ready, and then we're going to be there throughout the day, try and give you a bit of a sense of the day. So it's a couple of days on from the event, and we're back. We've had a bit of time to think about it and a bit of distance to reflect on the event. So this episode is going to be for you if you didn't attend, I think, and you want to really understand what happened there and what mattered and why it's important. Let's start, I think, with biggest takeaways. So for me, I think the most interesting thing of the whole event was that, gosh, there was a lot of AI. If you came to this hoping to have a conversation and hear some sessions about call flows and channels and queues, you were a bit disappointed, I think. This was all about AI and Amazon Connect, and that was probably the biggest, if we needed it, the biggest reality check, I think, of where Amazon Connect is really focusing its efforts right now.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it, in terms of the whole, almost rebranding of Amazon Connect as the agentic AI service within AWS. But yeah, agree. I guess I probably wasn't thinking I'd go there and not hear anything about AI, but yes, it was completely front and center, wasn't it? Unsurprisingly.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you're right. Yeah, of course there was going to be AI, but yeah, I was surprised that it was purely AI. And that seems to be the only thing that matters right now. And I know that's not actually true. If you look at engineering effort and stuff, all of the other stuff is important and keeps evolving. But in terms of what AWS are talking about right now, it's all AI all the time. And not just AWS, all the partners as well. Yes. What was your biggest takeaway?
AI themed as well, again, perhaps unsurprisingly, but there was a lot around the sort of the increasing move towards AI agents acting as colleagues or co-workers. So there was quite a good bit in one of the keynotes around looking at it as an activity where I do it versus let's do it together versus you do it for me with your AI agent or agents. possibly even agents. So a single agent may be orchestrating multiple other agents to go and do things for you, but it's moving away from maybe a year and a bit ago. It was the rigid, almost chatbot format, wasn't it? Your chat GPT type thing. Whereas now it's becoming much more of a sophisticated sort of hookup of different agents doing different things and acting as almost a co-collaborator with you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was really interesting. We've just arrived. We arrived a little bit early to set up our stand because we are one of the exhibitors here today, and I'm just unpacking a few bits and pieces. But the thing that really struck me is two things, really. The first, this is held at the Ministry of Sound, so it's everything you think it's going to be. It's like being in a nightclub, and there's a DJ, there's music, it's relatively loud. It's so high energy, which is really nice. There's a massive glitter ball above my head. There is cool lighting everywhere. There's some really cool stuff on the wall. But there's also breakfast pastries and coffee and yogurts and granola and all those sort of things that you'd have at a conference. So it's this really interesting juxtaposition. I really like whoever organises, certainly the UK Amazon Connect events that we've been to, because they all have this kind of similar vibe. They're super high energy, modern, slightly edgy, but it makes for a great atmosphere, I think, and much more interesting than just a bland conference venue. The other interesting thing that I've noticed is how many AWS people are here, and just listening to conversations, and also people I know. There's people from the UK, there's people from the US as well. There's a whole bunch of US people they've flown over. I think it's a really strong signal as well about this event, and so really looking forward to catching up with some of them as well as the day progresses. As I said, lots of AWS people came in from the US. Why do you think that matters? Why do you think that's important, an event like this?
It just shows the massive focus that Amazon Connect is getting from the wider AWS organization at the moment. I think they've said a few times over the last couple of years, it's one of the biggest growing services. We had that headline again within certainly the last year, where it exceeded the $1 billion a year run rate. Sort of $1 billion run rate anyway. But yeah, I think it just shows that it's really important to AWS, I think.
Definitely. I think there's definitely a thing you can use to find out or to work out, and it's not rocket science, but work out how big organizations, definitely tech organizations, this is probably applicable to other organizations as well, but I've noticed it with tech organizations. You can really tell where their focus is commercially by how much budget they get for things like events, for swag, for branded, whatever it is, and for events and all that kind of stuff. And that's really obvious. And it's really obvious when it's cut as well. You can really tell what's important and what's not. And yeah, there's a lot of Amazon Connect people. There was a lot of Amazon Connect swag. Amazon Connect is having its time at the moment, I think. And that sends some signals about where Amazon Connect sits inside AWS right now.
I guess it's probably a shrewd move if you think back historically how often people do change their contact center stack. It's a pretty involved, pretty big decision to make, and it's not like people tend to do it every year or two. It tends to be maybe 5, 7, 10 year change cycles. So them investing a lot up front and trying to get as many people onto the platform is probably going to sit them in good stead for the next 5 to 10 years in terms of ongoing revenue with some pretty big enterprises.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk a bit through the sort of technical day, which is the day before the one we were both at. I know you were there, but I wasn't there. So it was a bit more technical, and there were some workshops as well. An agentic AI setup one and a automatic evaluation, like a QM based one. I know you managed to get your head into both of them, not completely, but you had other things to do. But from what you saw, what was being taught in those sessions, in those workshops? What if people were going there? What were they getting out of it?
Yeah, and one thing, and I've mentioned the workshops before on the podcast, and I am a big fan of them, and they always come across as pretty slick when they're being run in a big event like this, because you've got, I don't know how many people with maybe 100 people, say, and the evaluation forms one. It all seems to run pretty well. They set up environments for everyone, which are just throwaway environments. You get all the collateral so that you can run the workshop on the day, but you'll end up going home with a CloudFormation template to rebuild whatever you've built in the workshop. And it always works, and it's well presented by the presenters. They take time to have somebody going around and checking people are okay with it and that they're not having issues. So yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity to go and just learn and immerse yourself in whatever element of the product it was for a couple of hours.
I think it's interesting that it was those two sessions that they chose to run, thinking about all the things the workshops they could have chosen to run. They chose those two. I think it makes maybe AWS think that there's a friction right now for technical people in standing agents up because they're relatively new. So getting people upskilled in how to do that. And then also knowing whether they're any good once they're live, doing that evaluation part, it's slightly unglamorous, honestly, compared to setting on the evaluations, but it's so important. And we know that from our work as well. And not only is it important because it's important to get things right and know when your AI agent is not getting things right, but it's a huge confidence builder as well. And I think that's holding a lot of people back, is the fear of what if it goes wrong? What if it tells my customers bad things? That's where evaluations can really help. So it's interesting to look at the choices they made in setting on those workshops.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. And I suppose one of my takeaways was that, and like you say, I hold my hand up and say I did only poke my head in the door of the AI agent one. I just thought it was important to mention that, yes, it is possible to set up your own agent in a short time, like in the workshop. And yes, of course, it will be extremely capable, but do definitely bear in mind that it isn't just a one and done thing. We're finding it so important to continuously monitor and track what the agent is doing and monitor your statistics around how it's tool use, for example, how it's dealing with the queries, what types of queries is it not able to deal with. And that is more of an ongoing iterative process rather than I'll just set it up and let it crack on, really.
Yeah. And that can be a bit of a problem with some of those workshops sometimes, is that in practice it's a little bit harder than they make it sound, and not always technically, but for some of those reasons that you say, is that you're not one and done. There is a whole bunch of things to do, but when you're in the workshop in the moment, it makes it seem very simple. You've just stepped through it. You've done it inside of an hour. Of course, you could just go back and do this and have something working inside of an hour. So that's one of those areas where the workshops, I think, are really helpful, but you do need to position them against reality sometimes. And I think that's important.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And like I say, I'm a big fan of them. And I do think and those ones in particular, were run in a very slick way. And you do get something pretty cool and tangible to take away from it. But yeah, I just thought it was important to mention that it's like and things like the business change aspect of it. Yes, it's great to go and do the technical setup, but there are a whole load of other things that are important, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's related to something else we heard during the conference, actually, which we'll play now. We're well into the event now, mid-morning. We've been through the keynote and a couple of sessions. Alex, I thought the keynote was really interesting for kind of talking more generally about how we work with agents and with AI, and not everything is fully autonomous. It's more about working out where AI makes the most sense and how to evolve your organizations to deal with it. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and there were some interesting takeaways, weren't there? For instance, the prediction of AI agents being more sort of part of your org chart going forward. And another interesting one was that you may have an AI boss sooner than you have an AI colleague, I thought was quite interesting.
There was a ripple of something around the room there. I'm not sure if it was nervous laughter or what. So we had lots of conversations at the demo stand, some really good conversations for people, but we did manage to get to some sections as well, as you heard. And I want to get your take on this idea around we should have an AI boss before we have an AI colleague. Is that realistic, or is it something you say at a conference to get everybody, make sure everyone's listening and get some social media interest?
Yeah, that was, and I think that it came up again in the keynote from Matthias Underager. Apologies, Matthias, if I've pronounced your name incorrectly, but yeah, he had some great points, didn't he? That around having an AI boss before an AI colleague, it sounds from what I'm hearing on places like LinkedIn, that yes, that's definitely possible and definitely happening. I can't remember which organization it was, but they categorized people into sort of builders, and so measurers was another category, and measurers was, I guess, you sort of broadly middle management, and it was that area that was being cut back in, and you can imagine, yes, probably being replaced with some degree of AI. So yeah, it sounds like it's definitely possible and most likely happening in places.
Yeah, it's fascinating, really. And I can't work out if it's deliberately provocative or whether it's a reaction to the kind of top down that you hear it from less educated or just less aware CEOs and high level managers are like, oh, we're going to replace all coding jobs and stuff like that. Whether it's a kind of reaction to that, it's actually, we're probably going to replace all the management jobs first, if that's all right, because it turns out that might be easier. It's fascinating, really. I'm reminded actually of somebody said to me like very early in my career, and I was a very junior dev, and I was grumbling about a development manager because I didn't think he was very good. And a more senior developer pulled me aside and was like, he's probably paid less than you are. I was like, really? But he's a development manager. I said, yeah, but he's just managing people. Just managing people is a whole job, right? It's not, but he's not super technical. And he was quite technical, but he's not a developer. And so there was that, for me, that was a real light bulb moment as an inexperienced developer railing against the world. You don't think like that, but actually, yes, just because you're managing a bunch of people, you're not necessarily the best version, the best of all those people. It's a different discipline. Right. Yeah, really interesting.
And I'm probably just thinking about what order our podcasts are coming up in, and don't want to hit any spoiler alerts, but we have had discussions around Amazon Connect Talent recently, and they almost, it's like a glimpse into the sort of dystopian future of recruitment was Absolutely. Quite an eye-opener there, where you can potentially just automate the whole recruitment process. Yeah, you can definitely see that the whole AI boss thing is not a stretch of the imagination.
No, and you've got to imagine Matthias is coming from that place of having had those conversations for 6 months and having spoken to enterprises about this for 3 months probably to get soundings on the ground. So actually to bring it out in a public place at a conference, yeah, you're right, maybe it's sooner than we think. Yeah, really interesting. I came into this discussion thinking, I'm not sure I buy that, but actually now that we chatted it through, I'm like, actually, maybe I do. Okay. Interesting.
The other one I thought, again, from Matthias's his keynote, but mentioned in a couple of other places, a couple of other presentations, but the fact that your future customer might be a piece of code as well. I thought that was quite interesting. So not only is your boss potentially going to be AI, but also your customer is going to be AI, and it might look at the resources that your company has available, and it might make a pretty snap judgment on whether or not it will be your customer, and it will be that straightforward and simple.
Yeah, machine customers was the term. There was a speaker towards the end of the day called Claire Muscat from Women in CX. Really good session, but introduced that term. I'd not heard that before. It's the idea that, yes, you will have, on behalf of your users, they will be using their own AI. So actually, one of your customers might be an AI on behalf of a user. So this idea of machine customers are making the experience good for them because they will choose, they don't have loyalty particularly, they will choose the most efficient mechanism. So if you've got a terrible onboarding experience or whatever it is that's hostile to agents, then that's not going to go down very well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. One other point that I found mildly amusing as well, and another one of Matthias's, but the fact that he suggested kids will look at the browser the way we look at the fax machine, and that it resonated with me because I remember as a sort of junior consultant going around and trying to plug fax machines into analog gateways and just being perplexed by why the hell would anyone use these things these days. Not to say that people don't still use them, because we see that every now and then. But yeah, I just thought it was amusing that thinking about our kids, they might have the same level of perplexity looking at browser and thinking, what's this for?
Absolutely. I'm already noticing my browser use has dropped off considerably. Yeah. And I expect, as not to cross over different technologies, but as Siri gets its game on this year and through next year, that'll drop even more. So yeah, really interesting. I've managed to grab Simon, our CEO and leader. Alex and I were just talking about your talk just now, and I said to Alex, it really feels like AI agents are having their moment at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. We're seeing that in our business over the last probably 3 to 6 months now. Whereas maybe if you had 100 deals, 80 would be migrations, 20 would be AI agents 6 months ago, and that ratio's pretty much flipped, hasn't it?
Yeah, so. Yeah, it's been loads of talk as well. Actually, afterwards, I thought that was really interesting. There's loads of interest, which is a risk at an event like this, right? Because we're sponsoring it, and that's expensive. But actually, I think in those conversations, that's where the value is as well, right?
Yeah, and I think the industry's been talking about AI since ChatGPT, which was November 23. Yeah, so
it feels like a lifetime ago, right?
Yeah, so they've had a lot of time to think about it, and now, as I said in the presentation, you're probably at the stage of, should we do it? Could we do it? How do we do it? I think in 6 months' time, you're going to get pressure from everywhere going, we have to do it. Because it's real, it's a real impact. Customer experience is one of the best. Obviously, coding is an amazing area, and we've all seen that over the last few months. But customer experience is one of the first business ones that should go. And again, not cutting staff, but actually increasing capabilities to be able to talk to your customers and service your customers as well. Yeah, definitely.
It's mad in a way to think, even a couple of years ago, you wouldn't imagine that Amazon Connect would have their own regional series of roadshows, right, of multi-day events.
Yeah, there's two things there, isn't there? There's the one where Amazon Connect was this amazing service amongst 200 services, which, let's be honest, probably got a little bit lost in the conversations with AWS account managers and their customers. And now it's right at the front. Number one, let's go. So that's great. But then the second thing is the technology is there now, right? Whereas I know we've had some discussions, quite passionate internal discussions about, is the agent good enough? Is the voice good enough? And I think we're there now. Is it perfect? Probably not, but it's absolutely good enough to implement in the wild.
I think people get really hung up about the quality of the voice, right? Is it human enough? Is it realistic enough? And it's like, yeah, but can you understand it? Can it understand you? Can you get your job done?
And we're also seeing, aren't we, Tom? We're seeing different requirements from different businesses. Yeah. So some businesses are saying, we definitely want to have an AI agent. We want it to sound like an AI agent and declare it's an AI agent. And then we're also seeing businesses saying, actually, we want it to sound as human as possible. And there are pros and cons of both. And we're there to help on both. Because I guess the EU Act, is that going to be delayed now?
From what I understand, bits of it I think are still happening. The requirement to say that you're going to be recording something, I think that still stands.
Okay. And I think declaring, hey, I'm an AI agent, I'm here to help. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, absolutely. And finally, I guess for people who are on the fence about jumping into this AI world and also aren't necessarily at this event, but they're listening to this, what's the next thing they should do? Is there value to them in coming to events like this? Does that help? And because it feels like everyone here is talking that story, but it's not as if everybody's got it all sorted and has all the answers, right?
Yeah, so this is going to be a difficult answer because I'm going to sound absolutely... One thing we all know about Cloud Interact and this podcast is we don't want to do a sales pitch at all, but you genuinely need to go and speak to experts. Yeah. And you need to ask your AWS account team to get you the experts in this area, whether it's us or somebody else. But you do need to speak to them because there are lots of little things that can go wrong and lots of little things that you need to do that is to do it right. So engage with people. And I felt a bit of a dummy actually because I kind of said, let's not do demos. But actually, and you know better than anyone, Tom, don't you? With the AI that we use internally now, we can demo within 1 or 2 days as opposed to 90 days. So we can show it people. So engage with us, we'll show it, we'll demonstrate it, and then we can get you in a 12-week process that actually gets you to production.
Okay, so if you weren't at the event and you're thinking about whether you should go for the next event, hopefully we can help sway you. So if you didn't go, I think for me, the biggest thing that you missed was genuine interaction with important people. And that's people from AWS, but people from the community as well, partners and people that can answer your questions and talk honestly and openly about what's working and what's not. And I think that interaction is very important. Alex, what about you?
Oh, totally agree. And without having compared notes, that was going to be my takeaway from it as well. We remote work most of the time. And it is always quite a treat these days to go out, and especially to an event like that with It was a really cool venue. It seemed incredibly well organized and slick. But like you say, there were loads of great people there, old faces, new people to talk to, but all super interested in Amazon Connect. And having a community around it is really important, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think the other thing you probably missed if you didn't go was the real feel for the AI is here right now. And I think the audience was probably divided by people that are already doing this and are sharing their stories, and then a bunch of people that are not doing it and are starting to feel like they're being a bit left behind. That's kind of the sense I got. I don't know about you.
Yeah, good point, actually. That's worth mentioning. There were a lot of people I thought that were there as Connect customers or users and probably having a bit of the, what's next, or how do we tackle agentic AI? And I think they were there for that knowledge share and to get some inspiration from other people in the community.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good chance as well to see the state of the possible. That's what the demos are good for. They're showing you what's possible. And I think the demos did a good job from everyone, really, of showing what's possible today. And I don't think there was anything in there that's unachievable. So they weren't far out, future thinking, marketing mock-ups or anything like that. They were real demos using the technology because it's ready, as we keep saying. The technology is there. It's all the business change stuff that needs to happen. That takes time. So I think for the next 12 months, I think you need to have started this already, probably. I think if you want to keep maintaining a competitive advantage, would be my biggest takeaway from last week was, yes, this stuff takes time, but everybody's started it. So if you haven't started it, don't panic, I wouldn't say, but don't delay, probably. And there's different ways to do that. Go find somebody, you talk to AWS, go find an expert to talk to. But I think do make a start. If you've got any kind of thinking that AI and agentic AI could change how you work for the positive, and I think that's most industries, then you probably ought to have made a start by now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We could talk about this all day, and I'm sure we will keep chatting to each other about the good bits and the bad bits from last week. But it is time to bring this episode to an end. Thank you very much, Alex, for your time and your thoughts, and also for spending the day. It was a really good day to spend with you last week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast player. That way you won't miss it. Whilst you're there, we'd love it if you would rate and review us. If you have colleagues that you think would benefit from this content, please let them know. Find out more about how Cloud Interact can help you on your contact center journey. Visit cloudinteract.io. We're wrapping this call up now, and we'll connect with you next time.